At this point, I'd like to open the floor up for questions, if you have any specific questions.
No, you can't be shy.
There's many questions out there.
Not really.
Have you ever recorded a good song without a click track?
Yes, many times.
Many
In fact,
times.
Yeah.
Many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, here's the thing about it, because it goes back to that question about technology. So a misconception about clicks, because metronomes have always existed, and the idea that the drummer, the band stays reasonably within a certain time frame. I've done both where the band just start, the artist just starts and they play and they feel, they will perhaps rush into the chorus and pull back at the top of the verse, and there's a natural ebb and flow to it. But you can use click tracks to great effect. Like, for instance, if you have a band, like I was down in Studio A last year, and we were doing, it was like a 6-piece band, and we had a click track set up for every song, but the drummer was the only person who got the click track. The only drummer. So he was the only person hearing it, and he only just had it really as a guide. And so nobody else, everybody was just listening to him. So there was a sense of, and when you actually, when I actually did a little bit of investigating, when I put up the click against the drum track, it was flamming, but I didn't care, because what was coming through the speakers sounded wonderful to me and had an ebb and flow. So yeah, clicks can be wonderful, but it goes back to the technology thing. If it's not working for the song, you just turn it off and see what happens, because you'll have your comparison very quickly. So
Click tracks?
yeah,
Is that?
we're talking about click tracks. If you ever recorded a great song with that one, millions.
Hopefully,
Millions.
yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
It's weird. There was that weird time, though, when click tracks became, when we all thought we had to do click tracks. And the weird thing I always found with drummers was that if they didn't really know how to play with a click, they would speed up on a drum fill. And the drum fill would always sound good, but then the whole track would like slump really slow, because they'd have to give back the time that they took. Yeah. And this was with tape before you could just make it all, but now there's drummers who do fantastic, who can weave in and out, and it doesn't matter if it's in with the click, because they just use it almost like as a, it's an art form.
It's an art form, yeah. There are a lot of drummers, especially in New York, like the good session players, who are just like, you wouldn't even know they were playing to a click track. There's a natural flow to it.
Yeah, I don't listen to the drums and click with most.
I never do.
With a lot of drummers now.
No.
If it feels good, then it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
There was that time, with Larry, with
sure.
Sunday Bloody Sunday, that you just, it was because it sounded terrible.
It sounded terrible, yeah.
But
it sounded horrible.
Ended up all right. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You want me on the mic here?
Yes, please.
If you were, if you're mixing a record with, say, 10 songs, and all the songs were possibly recorded at different times, if you want the album to kind of hold together, and you want the vocal level to be consistent on all those 10 songs, and you want the drums to kind of feel the same on all the 10 songs, where do you start? Or just in terms of, you start with the lead vocal on all the 10 songs, or?
Well, you could do it in a number of ways. I mean, you could start with the vocal. But I think, if you an interesting way to approach it would be, if you know what the final sequence of the record is, would mix it in sequence. So start with the first song, because most people tend to sequence records, with the best songs at this. You front load the record, and as you go down, you tend to get the slightly weaker songs, or the ones that haven't quite.
First, all the songs become your template for the.
They become your template, and if you're using a DAW, what's great about mixing in that environment is that, of course, you can try something, and if it works and it becomes the template for the other songs, then you can go back and you can revisit it. And if you learn something doing song 5, you can.
Well, it doesn't have to be the finished sequence, but you can have in your head, I'm going to sequence this record.
Yeah.
It can be a random sequence, but you just keep listening.
Yeah.
You do the first one, then you do the second one, then you listen back to 1 and 2.
That's right.
And then you go through them,
as you go along.
and eventually you can change them all round, and should work.
It should work, if you have the consistency to it, I mean, if the recordings are radically different, that makes your job a little bit harder. Although it does open up all the possibilities of being creative with something like.
But we do that when we make records. I mean, I'm always listening back to songs back to back, and do a lot of playback, lots of visitors, and invite people to come and listen. I don't like closed doors. It's very important, I think, for me anyway, because I can have something in my head and not think about it, and then someone else comes to hear it, and I'll play it back, and I go,
and you notice it.
Damn, now I know what I should be doing.
Yeah,
they don't say anything, but you just hear it through someone else's ears. It's, I find that's important for me.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I was just thinking about, Steve, the art and commerce comment, and I was wondering if that's something you kind of focus on the onset of the project, or if it develops. I was one of my favorite records is Before These Crowded Streets, and I was thinking about how it's such a commercial success, but there's so many muso aspects of it that are
It's a bit muso, isn't it?
that are more artsy, which is something I love about it. And I didn't know if that's something that happens as it's going, and it's just turning into this, or if you figure that out at the beginning.
Well, for that album, it was the third album that I'd worked with them, and I really wanted to, to make each record a different experience, because it was the same band and they would just do the same thing. So it was me who, only acoustic guitars on the first album, electrified acoustics on the second album, and then the third album we thought, well, let's have a string quartet, let's have Alanis Morissette and those awful ladies singing on, which was my fucking mistake, I'm telling you. I should never have done that. Stay, wasn't that what it was called? Stay? Yeah, horrible song. But other than that, there was some other good stuff on that record. And then Dave had this idea of having little musical interludes, like commercials. So we recorded a load of those, which I thought that some of those were great little pieces. So it was, yeah, but that was quite a dark record, but I think we had a couple of songs on the radio, at least one. Don't Drink the Water was on was the radio song on that. Stay, yeah, it was...
Real quick.
You don't need to come up. We've got good ears.
Don't Drink the Water. Wasn't that going to be scrapped until you brought it back when everybody came in and you had said you do as little's work as possible? But didn't you save that song?
Did I? I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
I remember the interview where they had left and the song was pretty much scrapped, and then
Oh, right.
did something magically. And
Something happened, maybe, yeah. Yeah, it's good, thanks.
Marty?
Just wondering what you guys think about volume maximizing. There's you do a mix, and now everybody is taking everything and just getting the most volume as they can out of everything. And how do you feel about, you do a nice mix that's got some dynamic range, and now all of a sudden it's just all loud everywhere?
I was frustrated for a long time with it, and I still am. But I'm like I said before, I'm a big fan of the shape of a song. And I sort of hate for it to be loud at the first note and then loud, no break. And then I can't play it loud. I used to when I was young, I'd put a song on in the car, I could play it loud and it'd be thumping my chest and I'd be very excited. It's all zzz now. I mean,
it's weird, isn't it? Like mastering's supposed to make it sound better.
Yeah.
And actually, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
I mean, in my book, that Chris Cornell record I did, it was sounding terrible. I thought so, and he liked it. I don't know.
Well, maybe that says a lot about his hearing,
Yes.
or lack of thereof. Yeah.
Well, no, but it was just really crunchy. And,
I mean, I don't think, the human ear, if you actually think of the physics of the human ear, it's not designed to be bombarded like that. I mean, and it still goes back to that, the 5-instrument thing. I mean, it's there's a density and a saturation with a lot of current music that you don't get it doesn't happen in real life, And it's really, if you can't listen to a piece of music, if you actually listen to music at a decent volume, let's say somewhere close to 96 to 100 dB, that's pretty loud on a set of speakers, right? And if it's well recorded, it'll push the speakers, right? And if you're actually listening to something and you're going this, and you're actually not listening to music, then there's something wrong.
But how a lot of records these days tend to sound wall to wall, full bore. I mean, even singing every moment through the song. There's no break from the singing either.
Well, I had an artist where literally it was an indie artist, and she really great singer. But literally, the bed tracks were about 20 tracks with the basic instrumentation, and then there was a little bit of orchestration stuff in there, and the 10 tracks of orchestration. But literally, they would have a lead vocal, and then you would have 60 tracks of ad-libs. Ad-libs, and every little nuance. So, you started beat one bar one, there's and then I'm like, and I would go, stop. It's like somebody chattering in your ear all the time. Fuck off, stop. You're not that important. It's who are you? It's you've got a great voice. I want to hear your voice. I don't want to hear all the little things.
Yeah, that's
stop.
weird.
Yeah, it's weird. And she couldn't let it go. It was I understood it artistically, but as an arc in a piece of music, it was like wallpaper.
It's do it at the end of
It's
the
just zzz,